Midtown to come down here and get here. It's amazing to be here, and I'm listening to some of these questions, and these questions are so insightful, and it's the questions that I hear all over the city. So the job that I do the citywide outreach for community affairs, so that means I get to go all over the city, and I get to engage with conversations with people just like you, New Yorkers. New Yorkers that have real questions, serious questions about what's going on in their neighborhood, and especially what's going on with policing. We see so many things in the news. We see things that are happening outside the city, and we see things that are happening inside the cities. And I always start off this conversation, I say, you know what? Most of the times we do a good job, but there are times where we fail, and there's times where we've made mistakes. And as a department, you know, these are the places where we're able to engage in conversations, and we're able to learn, and we're able to do a better job. We have to do a better job. You know, we're a department that's growing. This is a diverse city. And we have to do a better job, you know, and every day we get to come out to these forums, we get to engage in conversations, we get to do just a little better in serving this community. Now, my job is really to assist the commanding officer. So I was a commanding officer before, and I know when you run a precinct, there's so many different things, and there's so many different constituencies within your precinct that you have to deal with. A precinct is just like a city. Think about it, in New York City, every 4 blocks, there's a different community. And everyone has their own needs. And everybody's asking the commanding officer for something just a little different. But I think the most important thing what people want, they want to be safe. They want to feel like they play a part in what's going on in their community. And they want to be respected. Exactly. You know, and those are the things that, as a department, you know, we strive to do. You know, I think we do it. You know, just like the inspector said, and just like the young lady said, most of the times we do it well, but we have to be honest. We're a big organization, and we have made mistakes, and we have to learn from that, you know, and we have to better explain what we're doing. Because a lot of times we're doing the right things, but sometimes we just don't explain it to the people in the way they can understand it, you know, and if you want people to be with you, you got to explain to them what they're doing. You know, that's what I tell young police officers when they come on the job. I say, you got to take that time to explain what you've done. So if you've done something in that community, you know, and people don't understand, just don't get back in the RMP and drive away. Take that extra 2 minutes or 3 minutes and explain. They may not always fully understand right away, but I think they will respect the fact that you stopped and you engaged and you tried to explain what was going on. So those are the things that, you know, I tell young police officers to do. So I've been traveling the city for about a year. I've been engaging in conversations, and you know, we've been talking about what's going on at the policing. And I tell them about some of the units that we have within my particular assignments. So some of the units we have, you know, we do citywide outreach, and I have officers in each borough of the city. And basically what they do is they respond to emergencies. But what we do relationship building, you know. The responsibility of my police officers is to go out to these precincts and assist the local community affairs officer and make contacts. You know, so some of the contacts are the people in this room, you know, our clergy. You know, I would say that's some of the biggest contacts and the partners that we have in the community is our religious leaders. Because when you think about it, most people who migrate to the city, where's the first place you go to? You go to your church, because that's where you feel most comfortable. So if you came from a Caribbean country and you came to New York and, you know, you're Baptist or Christian, you're going to seek that out. If you're Muslim and you came from a Muslim country and you came to New York, you're going to look for that mosque, and we could go down online. So for us, if we want to get our message out, those are the partners that we're looking to build, our religious faith leaders. You know, and those are some of our best partners, you know, because they do 2 things. They keep it real with us, and they tell us, you know, you're messing up here, you know. But they also get the word out, and they're able to build that bridge and really able to get our message out to the community, and they also give us feedback. So I have one of the officers, Officer Amen. Come up here. It's an easy name to remember because his name is Amen. So every time you say Amen, this is Officer Amen. And what I found out since I've been in this position for about a year and a half is how many religious institutions we have in the city. I think we're counting over 8,000. religious institutions. So I have 2 officers who are assigned to the clergy unit, and basically they go out there and they build those relationships. And I'm going to let him talk to you for a couple of minutes about what he does and what his job is, and then I'll come back and I'll talk about the rest of the units and the things that we do. So.
Good morning, everyone. Peace and blessing. Amen for that, as you saw the name. My name is also Mohamed. Amen. I work with the inspector. I have a partner, Mike Romeo. We're basically in charge of the clergy outreach. I pass flyer. I don't know if you guys got a chance to take a look. So basically, our unit is, we handle all the house of worship, all religion and denomination in the city. As the inspector mentioned, there's between 8,000 to 9,000 house of worship. 3 aspects quickly of the unit. One of them is to deal with over 250 clergy liaison member, which is basically work hand in hand with the police department. I run from 1 to 5 in each precinct, all religion represented. They work with us as a liaison to build relation between the police department and the respected churches and house of worship. The second aspect is going out to all these 9,000 house of worship, building relation. The one that we have relation, we try to maintain this. The one we don't have, we try to have them come together with us, see what they need. Try to be always in contact with them, not only in the time of a crisis, but also in a good time. The third aspect is to respond to the bias incidents. Basically, we do the outreach portion of it. Hate crime unit will do the investigation portion of it. But also, we need to comfort these victims. As my good friend from the senator office, he noticed last week we had the sad incident in 106 precinct when the 2 imam get shot. It was a horrendous crime, and the grace of God and our work with the community, we try to de-escalate any unrest, try to comfort the victims, and try to bring them to learn from the police department all the circumstances, or what's happening throughout right after the incident. I was in the hospital. I actually had to take the victim to see the family to see the victim, but also to bring the chief of department to the mosque to explain to the congregant what we did and how what's the procedure that we took and the apprehension of this bad person who committed this heinous crime. So throughout this constant communication with all the various communities throughout the 5 boroughs, we'll be able to connect with them. We try to have them hear their feedback, deal with the youth and them, do some presentation. So I have my contact in the flyer. If anyone would like us to come along, speak to the churches, the mosques, the synagogue, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.
One of the things that we realize is that, when there's a lack of communication, that's when things can get hairy. So when we have emergencies or things happen, and for example, the shooting of the 2 religious leaders in Liberty Avenue, right away, Mohamed started getting calls because of the investment he had made into that community, and people knew him, so they reached out to him from that community, immigrant community, emerging Bangladeshi community, and the religious leaders reached out to him. We were able to respond. Of course, the investigation was going on, was gathering a lot of recognition, and things were going on. But there was that time where the community wasn't sure how that investigation was going. There were concerns that was it going to be a hate crime. There was anger, rightfully what was going on. 2 religious members of the community were shot and killed in the middle of daylight. So they wanted justice. So our responsibility was to aid with that investigation. So we were able to build that dialogue. We were able to reach out to the community, identify people that represented the community, and we're able to get them together with the investigators from the police department. And there wasn't that space where there was constant communication. There was where the community felt they knew what was going on. They felt comfortable with how the progression of the investigation. And when an arrest was made, they were the first ones to find out, and I think they were very happy. And I think that's an example of the things that we're trying to do in this police department. Because we've seen in other places that when there's a lack of communication, that's when the problems happen. When people feel they're not being heard, they're not given a place to express how they feel, that's when things happen. So we've had incidents in the city, but I think luckily because of the hard work, like commanding officer that like we have here in the 101 and all over the city. We've learned and we've seen what mistakes have happened in other cities, and I think we're learning not to do that here. You know, when we talk about the NCO program, that's something that we hear, you know, for such a long time. We went to meetings, you know, and we've heard people say, I remember when we had Officer Johnson, when I grew up, that officer that was always there. And that's something that, you know, Commissioner Bratton, the new incoming Commissioner, Chief O'Neill, they heard that and they say, you know what, we need to get back to a little bit of that. We need to get back to that localization of policing, where cops are getting out their car and they're engaging with people and they're getting to know who the people are that they patrol. So we're going to remove those police officers from the radio, and we're going to let them just get out there and engage people and just take care of the small things. Because I think when you take care of the small things, you know, and you can build that trust and that respect, it goes a long way of averting some of the bigger things. So those are some of the things that I think the department learned. I think that every day when we come to forums like this, we get just a little better. We understand just a little bit more. And I think that this is what I was telling this senator when I briefly spoke to him. I said, this is the place where we lay our groundwork. This is the place where we get to know each other, meet each other, work on issues like you brought up. So when something does happen, we can go out there. We can go out there and we can work together. You know, it's hard to show up at a scene and you don't know each other. And you don't know the commanding officer because you've never seen them other than a meeting. You don't know the police officers. You don't know who's responding. And now you're expected to work together to calm the community. So in these areas, these spaces, we get together, we talk, we exchange ideas, we learn from each other, we take back, you know, and hopefully we can build a chain of communication. Hopefully we'll be able to come out to some of the religious institutions and people will exchange numbers and we will continue that dialogue. So unfortunately, if something does happen, there is a dialogue. There are people, you know, and hopefully you can reach out to us, just like that community felt they could reach out to us when that tragedy happened. So I'm going to open up to questions.
I had asked this question earlier. I'm not sure you were here, but I didn't get a second.